Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Mewtwo fan Nate, and I'm your coach of the New York Noibats. It is the 4th week of the P4G, and today we're going to be doing a team builder a little bit differently. Normally, what we do is we kind of like go over all the Pokemon that we've both drafted, we talk about team matchup, we go into the sets, and we're still going to do all that, but the thing is, we're throwing in a slight, very small transaction update to this. Now, I don't think there was a transaction video on the P4G channel. I don't remember seeing one go up this week, but we did make a transaction. So we did drop Torcat. Yes, that's the thing. Torcat. We did drop that thing, and we ended up picking up Delphox. Now, for transparency's sake, I want to let you know that my team is pretty bad, except for Wigglytuff, of course. Wigglytuff is very broken, overpowered. So my team is pretty bad, aside from that Pokemon. And we, nobody noticed that the transaction that I made was actually illegal, and no one came to me about it, but I noticed it, so I fixed it. So I immediately, after this week, I dropped Delphox, and we picked up GameFreak, because we need 2 blue Pokemon, 2 bad, very low tier Pokemon. So I had Shelgon and I had Torcat, but I decided that it just wouldn't feel right for me. I didn't really say anything to anyone about it, but I just kind of made the transaction. So this week we do have Delphox, and we are bringing it, but we're not going to have it for next week. So I fixed it immediately, but I couldn't, say I made a transaction and then kind of I just didn't want to, I just didn't want to do that. So we're gonna kind of just go over the I'm not gonna talk about why I made the thing, the transaction, because it's only gonna be effective for 1 week, so it doesn't really matter that much. So I guess going into the whole team builder aspect of this, you guys can see my team right there. I actually ordered it from fastest to slowest Pokemon. So Selgor is the fastest, then we have Dodrio, Delphox, Electivire, Vaporeon, Pangoro, Piloswine, Shelgon, Wigglytuff, the Lurantis, and the sword thingy Doublade. And then our opponent, Professor FX, I forgot, I didn't even mention that we are battling Professor FX, the Mewtwolouse FC. I'm sorry I didn't go over that already, but we are battling him, and his team consists of a whole bunch of threats, which are Jolteon, super scary Pokemon. We have the Zoroark, Flygon, Uxie, Stantler, the Emboar, which is stupid against my team, just nothing switches in, Almamoa, Muck, Togetic, Delmise, and Lairon. So the thing is, this battle's already happened, so this is gonna go up. I'm gonna probably put them up the same day, but the battle's already happened, so I'm going to kind of not give a biased opinion. I'm just going to go off of the notes that I've written down, which I usually do anytime I do team builders. I usually write notes on what I think. I think I might have deleted them, but I'm gonna pretty much just go over the same points that I made. Yeah, I did delete the sticky note for it, so we're just gonna go off the top of the dome here. And I just want to say that the combination of his very offensive Pokemon, such as Zoroark and Emboar, my team struggles to switch into them. Maybe if he's a banded or a very offensive Delmise, my team kind of struggles against those things. Because even for example, the things that would to switch into Delmise, we don't really take the Steelworker anchor shots and stuff pretty well. We don't and we don't take knockoffs. I would probably try switching to Doublade on a grass type move or something like that, and it's just not gonna appreciate a ghost type move. If I want to switch into my Shelgon, it's we can get knocked off. It's very it's scary. Another thing that's super fat, his core of Uxie and Lairon it's kind of good because they pair really well together, because Leiron does not appreciate the fighting or ground moves, and Uxie takes both of those, so it's a very hard core to take down. And then you have things that, like, it also pairs really well with Dhelmise, because Dhelmise can take both fighting moves because of the ghost immunity, the ghost type, and the immunity to fighting type moves, and then, like, obviously it's a grass type, so it just takes those it just takes those ground type moves just fine. So it's like those things are very problematic. His core is very problematic for me to switch into. I do have a couple good, like, offensive Pokemon that do really well against him. Like Dodrio, he has a really hard time against Dodrio, especially if it's like Choice Band or if it's Choice Scarf. He doesn't like the different moves that I can go for. If I can get Dodrio in late game, I think I can see it putting in some work. A Selgor, offensive Selgor, maybe like Life Orb Specs or like Z move, something like that could do really well against him. A couple of people in my front office suggested bringing like a substitute Vaporeon, which sounded kind of interesting. I think substitute in general is pretty good against this team. The only thing that would be an issue is if he had like Roar on something, because then that could be kind of an issue. But I mean, other than that, like, it's that move looks pretty good. The other thing that looks pretty promising against this team would be like a defensive Shelgon. The thing is, though, I don't like running that set. I don't like Shelgon in general. Like, I think Shelgon is kind of like dumb to use, because you either want to run like a Dragon Dance, like Rest Talk set, or you just want to run like Fat Toxic Wish Protect, and I hate running those things. But I think without further ado, I think we're just going to talk about the sets themselves, and we're not going to waste too much of the time here. I did kind of just wake up, so it might sound a little bit different, I guess. So going into our first Pokemon, the Kabanari, the Electivire, we are running an Expert Belt set with Substitute, Ice Punch, Earthquake, and Wild Charge. Now, this is pretty much was made to design, like, especially if he has the Jolteon on his team. If he has Jolteon on his team, I can kind of like always force a Substitute like almost all the time, because if I bring this thing on Jolteon, it's like pretty much it's like forces a switch, and usually it's gonna want to switch into something like Flygon, or it's going to want to switch out into something that's like probably Flygon most likely, but maybe something along the lines of like Leiron or Dhelmise, because, you know, one of those things that's going to predict like the ground type moves, or something that's going to take one of those EQs, because that's usually what I would go for against that thing. But then I can go get a substitute off, and then kind of just pick a move and get damage off, you feel me? So I think that this is a pretty decent set. So Ice Punch gives me like the nice coverage for the Flygon and the Dhelmise. Earthquake does hit the Emboar, the Leiron, the Muck, so it and the Jolteon, of course, and then Wild Charge does give me like Stab, which hits like a good portion of the other members on his team, like the Almomomoa, the Togetic, and everything else that just takes it neutrally. We do have enough speed to outspeed the max speed's potential Stantler, and I think that was it. That was what it was for. Yes. So I mean, we have Motor Drive as the ability, because, you know, it gives us a nice switch into Jolteon's electric type moves. I was really prepping hard for Jolteon this game. I felt like Jolteon would like most likely come for like I thought like it had a decent like offensive matchup, like versus like Dodrio, Vaporeon, Shadow Ball for like the Doublade. Like I thought like maybe Shadow Ball for the Delphox. Like I thought it had a generally like a decent matchup against me, so I wanted to make sure that I did prep pretty hard for it. So the next Pokemon we ended up bringing was our young Merlin, the Delphox, which this is the only time it's probably going to hit the field, and unfortunately it's like running like a bad set. So we have a Colbur Berry, Substitute, Psyshock, Fire Blast, and Dazzling Gleam set. Maybe I should have gone for Flamethrower. Maybe that would have been the better option, but I just kind of like the power that Fire Blast had. I just never have any luck with hitting those things. So we do have like pretty much another substitute set, so we kind of force a switch like on something like maybe the Delmise, like something along those lines. Maybe we try to scare off Uxie with like Shadow Ball or Stantler or something like that. Maybe we force like a Sucker Punch from the Emboar, and then we like eat a Sucker Punch with our Colbur Berry, and then we go for like Psyshock. So this also does like for example, let's just say he wants to stay in with a Muck against this thing, and he wants to go for like a knockoff. You know, eat the Colbur Berry, hit it with a Psyshock, do big boy damage, and that's that. So I kind of want to bluff this thing as like Choice Scarf. Like I'm like tempted to bring this thing in against something like the Zoroark, try to like force it to go for the Sucker Punch, and then maybe like go for like a substitute on it, because I don't know why else. Like I feel like if you do bring this in against the something like a Zoroark, I feel like you have to like assume that this thing is Choice Scarfed, and like I feel like it forces a Sucker Punch. So I that's the plan, because otherwise like there's just no point in doing that. So I don't know, but I think that this gives me like generally good coverage against like majority of his team. Of course it doesn't hit everything perfectly, but you know, it's shiny, it's young Merlin, and I think it's going to do pretty well. So we're gonna talk about Chops real quick. Chops is a very standard set, pretty much like as always, just get some Stealth Rocks and then just stab moves, get very big damage off on all the things on his team. So we do have just a little bit of speed, just to outspeed like a speed creeping like Delmise or the Muck, just things like that, like especially the Muck. I want to make sure that if Muck does come, that we can outspeed it. So we just threw 36 EVs in speed just to make sure that that thing is not an issue. But the combination of like Ice Shard deals with like the Flygon, so if it wants to be a Dragon Dance set, no matter how many times it Dragon Dances up, as long as it's not like sub Dragon Dance, we should be fine. The Icicle Crash just hits like big damage. So if he like thinks, if he's gonna switch out and take and just like think he's gonna switch out into something, then we can go for like Icicle Crash for the bigger damage, you know. But Earthquake, Ice Shard, like just I feel like you guys should know what it does. Just this thing hits a lot of the things on his team. The only thing that this thing really does get walled by like completely is either the Almamoa or the Uxie. So that's really the only thing that we're gonna have to watch out for. So we got the Tarune, the guy from Naruto with the poison bugs, and we are running the Buginium Z. And I don't know if I want to like lead with this thing, but the Buginium Z Bug Buzz just kind of hits like it just pretty much can OHKO like almost anything from full. So the thing is though, I don't like Z moves because I just suck at using them. I never know when to click them, and I usually don't either get them off, or they protect, or they switch out into something. So I never know how to use Z moves right. But pretty much we can just OHKO like Uxie from full, like pretty much everything that's not like Emboar, Lairon, Togetic, Muck, like and the Almamoa. But like everything else just kind of gets like one-shotted by it. So like pretty much like the Bug Buzz, like Z Bug Buzz followed by a regular Bug Buzz, just does so much damage to everything. So I feel like it's pretty worth it just to click it first turn. So hopefully I do that. Focus Blast just hits things like the Lairon, which would otherwise wall it. Energy Ball hits things like the Almamoa. The Sludge Bomb hits the Togetic. This thing really doesn't really get much coverage at all for anything, like for the what is it, the for the Emboar. So that thing kind of walls us. I mean, we could run like the Water Shuriken, but I don't think there's a point to that because this team's not like super weak to water. So I mean, that's that. Oops, we kind of just spoiled one of the sets, but it's alright. So we are running our Koopa Trip, but we're bringing that back. I feel like I didn't talk about the EV spread, so this pretty much just outspeeds the Max Speed Jolteon. Max Speed Jolteon caps at 200 speed, so we're running the enough speed to outspeed that. We just threw the rest into HP. So that's that EV spread. So we're just running a Fizz Def Impish, Wish Toxic, Protect, Rock Tomb set on the Koopa Troopa. So pretty much we're running Rock Tomb just because we might get walled by Togetic if we don't bring it, and it also slows things down. So it's kind of cool for that reason. Want to make sure that we get that nice speed control. But we have to run like max HP, max defense, or else we can't switch into Emboar at all. And this, with our Eviolite and this Eevee spread, we can take 2 of anything that Emboar wants to do. So we take 2 Flare Blitz, 2 Superpowers, 2 Wild Charges, anything that Emboar wants to do, we take those. And we can just pretty much Wish Toxic, Protect, do dumb things like that. Just force the switch back, and then we can kind of go for Rock Tomb, slow things down, making it easier for whatever comes in to be revenge killed. And the Wish is kind of nice against like the other things that want to like come in. So like if we Wish up, get in our triple threat, the Dodrio, we can play this maybe a little bit more recklessly as long as it doesn't like die. But you know, potentially heal that up. Maybe it came in on Stealth Rocks or something like that, you know. But otherwise, this is like a decent set. I think this actually, like, cause we're pretty much running like full offense. Like, there's no bulk on anything except for this. So hopefully that this thing can kind of like sit there and be fat, and it like won't be like too much of it. Like, hopefully it's a big issue for his team, because there's nothing else on my team that's bulky. Like, everything else is frail. So I really need the Koopa Troopa to like come through. So now we have our triple threat, the Choice Banded Dodrio. Now this was suggested by, I think it was Jack, Salty Jack, in the front office portion of my server. So he suggested Choice Band Dodrio, and I was doing some calcs, and Quick Attack just does so much damage. It does over 50 to Flygon, does over 50 to the Zoroark, over 50 to the Jolteon. As long as he's not super bulky with the Emboar, it can really chunk that thing. It does a lot of damage. So between Return, Stomping Tantrum, and Drill Peck, it just it does a lot of damage. I didn't want to run Brave Bird because I don't want to take that damage. It's not necessary. Drill Peck can get a kill on the Emboar. Like, anything that I wanted to get a kill on, like Drill Peck was fine for it. Like, it did, like, the damage wasn't really worth it. Especially since I don't want to, like, I don't have hazard removal on this team, so it's important that I don't run Brave Bird. So Drill Peck is just fine. And that's pretty much just like the team. I think overall, I think our matchup is terrible. I think that the combination of Emboar and Zoroark are going to be like a real huge problem for us. Dhelmise is an issue. Lairon's an issue. Togetic is an issue. I think that those are all big threats for this team. I think that this is, like, I know that I have bad matchups every week because I wanted to draft a meme team. But this is probably the worst matchup that we've had so far, and I think it's gonna be a tough one to win. So hopefully we can kind of pull out something this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this team builder. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the battle, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.